Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at Thursday Night Football, Week 5 here. Got the Rams at home against the Niners. Currently 7-point favorites for them. Got plenty of injuries we got to look at for the 49ers. And we're coming off a really nice week using landyourbets.com and those projections. So definitely recommend jumping in there if you don't yet have a look at that. But like I said, really nice little 10-6 there. Followed it up on Monday night with a couple more units. So we're feeling good using those SwishLand projections especially. Gonna have plenty more of that in this episode for you. So if that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. A couple of trends we got to look at real quick. The Rams have been underdogs in their last 5 versus the 49ers. And in the last 3 as underdogs, they won all 3 there, plus 3.3 units. They are now favored for the first time in the last 6 games against this squad as they're coming in here against the 49ers who are banged up, right? And this is really what the key 5 that I would say. We know Nick Bosa's out for the year. We know George Kittle's still not coming back this week or the next one probably. And now we're talking about Pearsall and Jennings on the outside as the wide receivers, both looking questionable and legit questionable. Pearsall with the knee, and then Purdy re-injured the toe, so now he's legit questionable. Kind of seems like Mac Jones might be going there. And then the cornerback Ronaldo Green questionable, easy for me to say. And CJ West, the big DT on a defensive line that's already losing guys all over the place, now looking questionable as well. So that's going to be really tough for them to stop the run and probably the pass as well. Continue the conversation around this 49ers defense, starting with the home team on offense. Rams 4th in pass yards and 8th in pass EPA, but they're going to run the ball. We know that they want to run the ball. McVay wants to give Kyron Williams 15 plus touches every time. Also getting Blake Corum in the mix for close to 7 to 8 rushing touches now per game. So they're going to keep going to the rush. And that's what we'll talk about here in a minute and how they played against the 49ers, especially. We've seen McVay try to run the ball a ton against the 49ers, especially in neutral or leading game scripts. For the 49ers on defense, the biggest problems for them right now is they're not getting to the quarterback and teams can run all over them. They're down to 15th, probably actually closer to 16th in rush EPA. I think that's one off right now in the league. And that's been a problem for them since last year too. And as far as the getting to the quarterback stuff, like this is what they have hung their hat on really since the John Lynch Shanahan era started in SF, and everybody's just gone now, including Nick Bosa. So that's why they're bottom 4 in terms of pressure percentage that they're getting on the quarterback. And this is a wild stat. They have forced 0 interceptions in their last 11 games dating back to last season. So that's going to continue to be a problem if they're not getting pressure on Stafford and they're not able to pick anybody off or use their defense to get field position. Probably going to be a long day against the Rams in that run game. On the other side of the ball, I don't know what the 49ers are going to do if they don't have their receivers, because this run game has been non-existent, and it's certainly not the fault of one of the best backs in the league in Christian McCaffrey. It's been mostly that their offensive line has gotten no push. There's injuries on the offensive line, but really it's mostly their lack of ability to get forward. They're in the bottom 5 in adjusted yards before contact for their running back, so guys are just getting into the backfield. And this Rams defense, which is definitely better against the pass, and that 18th rush EPA defense that you see at the bottom there for them, that was 6th last week before Jonathan Taylor and company kind of carved them up a bit and did well on the ground versus this Rams D. I think the 49ers would like to run against a weaker rush defense than it is pass defense, but I think they're going to be trailing and they're going to be forced to throw a ton. As we jump into these player props, quick reminder, if you want to get into landyourbets.com, get all the player projections and the bets that I'm making as well as Nate, you can do that by signing up for any of the sports books that are scrolling underneath me right here. Sign up for those, email me, and let me know you did that over at support@landyourbets.com. I'll get you that free month so you can access the website, get all the bets that we're making, as we're currently on a little heat, kid. But looking at Kyron Williams to start and looking at those SwishLand projections I'm talking about, because they've got a nice little edge on where his line is at right now versus the yards. 18 attempts is what we have him projected at, 78 yards. And like I said, at about 67.5 rush yards for his prop line right now. And this is a situation where Kyron Williams is going to keep getting that work. They're at home, love to give him the ball at home especially. Then you add on the fact that when they play against this 49er squad, this dude's getting 20 carries per game. Last season went over his prop line in both of those games as well. And this SF rush defense is a little bit more vulnerable than normal right now. It hasn't really been that great. The strength of their defense is pass defense for sure since the last couple of years. But really, it's been a problem extra more so in the last couple games, specifically this season. And we're going to see Kyron used early in the game, and if it stays close, they're still going to be using him, whether it's neutral or a positive game script, which I'm projecting at least one of those two for them. Then I think Kyron's going to be in a good situation to get a lot of touches and a lot of yards against a weak defense. While I'm on the subject of running backs for the Rams, Blake Corum didn't totally disappoint last week. I was just really high on him for a ladder because we had such a nice edge. He had about 18 and a half rush yards as his prop line. We took him at that. He got 21, but we also laddered him a ton, and he had 21 yards at the half, right? Actually ended up like losing or getting no yards, I believe, in the second half there. Maybe got 2 of them, but had a drop pass rather. Really lost his confidence. This is still a good game for him, but the books have caught up that he's getting the carries, right? He's getting 7-ish, 8 carries now. And I think that's going to be the case here. 6 is kind of where I have his floor at this point. I think he's good for 6 to 8 per game. And look, last week was a bad game for him against a weak Colts rush defense. Went from 5.6 on the season. Last week, 2.7 yards per carry against that Colts defense. And that really just crushed us, right? Because he got the 9 attempts. I still think he's going to have a high attempt amount in this game again, because I do expect them to be leading and to continue to depend on the run game. And we know he's going to be involved a little bit more. It's just there's no more real ladder opportunities for him. This is about his prop number now is about 30 yards. And I think it's a good number for him. I think we can still get a little bit of an edge, but not enough like we had last week. Best wide receiver in the league, Puka Nacua. He's made that clear as he's come out strong as hell in the first 4 games of the season. 11 targets for the projection for him, 7.5 receptions and 93 yards. And I try not to give you half in the reception, but they do have it between 7 and 8, right? In terms of SwishLand, we're not going either way, and it's at 7.5 receptions right now for him is the number on that prop. The yards are at 93, and the yards for his prop line are at about 96.5. And I think I'd be leaning under on the long reception, because I don't think he's going to be needing to go deep. And I think a lot of the plays that he's going to be involved in are going to be those intermediate routes to ensure that they continue a drive and keep going on 3rd down. Nate's actually going to talk about how good this team is on 3rd down and why he likes a couple props for the Rams as a result. But Puka's not one of them in this game, where he's definitely going to get a ton more of the attention. And like I said, if this is a positive script because all these SF players that are questionable don't end up playing, then we're not going to see Puka needed quite as much in what should be not that close of a game. Okay, got one more Rams look for you. Then I want to get Nate on here. Then we'll get into some 49ers stuff. But starting with Stafford, he's basically a stay away. In fact, I lean towards the under for everything we're talking about here. McVay loving to run against the Niners, the positive game script doesn't really lead to many deep shots or very many attempts in general for Matt Stafford if they can get the run game going, especially. In the last 2 versus SF last year, threw the ball 25 and 27 times, 16 completions of both of those, 11.9 yards per completion. That said, if you look at both games, he had a 50-yard bomb in both of those games, 1 in each of them. That really distorted the yards per completion, where when you take those 2 away, he's at about 9 yards per completion against this 49ers team, which plays into the theory that he's going to be used to get the first downs. He's not necessarily going to be throwing as much on 1st or 2nd down. And while the model has him right at about the numbers that his prop line is at, I still prefer an under on the game. But if you wanted to take an over on Matt Stafford in completions or yards or anything, because completions look good when you consider, I think it's a lot more dink and dunk for him rather than going deep, then the first half props probably look better for you, because I do think they'll build a lead and they'll still be throwing enough in the first half that he'll probably get, 100, $120 in that range for his yardage. I told you guys Nate was coming on here. He's looking at Davante Adams. Let's get right into it, Nate. I've been talking about a more of a positive game script for the Rams in this game. I know you're in agreement with me, but you do have some stuff telling you that Davante has beatable lines.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're up initially, I think the Rams will keep their foot down and keep passing the ball a little bit here. And I think the Niners are going to be able to compete one way or another. I mean, their injury report is so shady. We don't know who's going to play at all right now, but it's a divisional game. It should be close. And the fact that Puka has been lighting the world on fire means the Niners, they play a lot of zone. They play a lot of cover 3, and it's going to have to be shaded more towards Puka, who's basically just officially announced himself as the best wide receiver in the league. On the other side, you have the old GOAT at 32 still doing the damn thing. If they do play man defense against Davante, he might get Renardo Green, who's questionable with the neck. If not, he gets a backup 7th rounder, Chase Lucas, who wasn't even in the league last year. San Francisco's been getting no pressure without Nick Bosa. Davante, the hamstring wasn't really an issue last week, it seems. He played 83% of the snaps. And, I mean, he's getting these high-value targets. So if you look at 55.5 yards, he doesn't even have to get his 5 receptions that he's implied to get there. He's averaging 16 yards per reception. That's 10th in the league, 6th most air yards in terms of the share of what Stafford's throwing there. And for what it's worth, against Kyle Shanahan's Niners, averaging 9 catches, 14 targets, 126 yards, has 7 tutties in 5 games. So he doesn't have many answers for him schematically. Just one of the best route runners we've seen.
Yep, best hands, best catch radiuses in the league as well. Able to really snag things in the end zone, like you said. Let's get to the prop bet that you have here, which is going to be some fun, I think. And I am also in agreement that I think this is going to be a bit more smash mouth, kind of nasty football, leading to some field goals. And it's a 7-point spread. And I think the only thing keeping this from getting too high, obviously we don't know about the injuries, but also it's a divisional game between two guys who know each other well. And I think that bodes well for field goals like you're talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be in the mud, right? I mean, it's Thursday. Nobody's like coming out firing on all cylinders usually in these Thursday games. Sometimes one team runs away because the other team is so unprepared that they just fall on their faces.
Yeah,
I don't see the 49ers doing that. I mean, they've been able to patch it together here with all the injuries. I see them holding up in the red zone, which is basically what you look at here. If you expect the Rams to be winning, are they going to be able to punch it in? And they haven't really been great in the red zone. Like they score on a lot of these shot plays, even dating back to last year, they were 25th in red zone rate, touchdown rate. They're 21st this year, only 50%. Stafford is much better when he has more room to operate. He's not usually able to zip it in there to these two guys that we're talking about mostly. And San Francisco this year, their offense, 27th in red zone rate. They don't have a single rushing touchdown. They might only have CMC out there in terms of viable guys. So, I mean, I think they'll both be able to move the ball. They're both doing great on third downs, picking up first downs, but I think they'll stall out. And I mean, you have to look no further than last time these teams played. Actually, it was a 12-6 game, freaking 6 field goals. Obviously, quite a few of those in the second half. Both these teams are 80% converting field goals this year. And yeah, divisional games, you filter out week 18 last year. 7 of the last 8 for the Niners have been 1-score games, including 4 straight with the Rams.
Yeah. That's what we've been. I was talking about at the top too, is the way that the Rams have been. The 49ers have been favored for 5 straight matchups, but they've lost 3 straight matchups to this team. Shows you what really happens when you a weird game on Thursday night. Add the weirdness of 2 coaches who know each other well and 2 teams who know each other well. Some injuries, some weirdness, all of it. So I do think field goals bode well, and the stats would back that up. But appreciate the time as always, Nate. Make sure you are checking out. Nate's got some early looks for you guys ahead of Sunday. Also going to have some closing line stuff, and we'll be back with me for player props, all that. So stay tuned for more. But appreciate your time, Nate. We'll talk soon. All right, closing it out with a couple of 49ers looks here. What do you want to say? This dude is a wide receiver. It's Christian McCaffrey. He and Bijan might as well just make them receivers at this point. They both line up in the slot continuously. And look at these numbers from the model, right? Which is 10 targets, 7 receptions, 71 yards. That is not taking into account wide receiver injuries. So we have not baked this into the number by telling the model, hey, when this guy's out, consider that he's going to do better. We're not even telling it that. It's just telling you in a neutral situation with or without Pearsall and Jennings or even Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey is looking at 10 targets, 7 receptions, 71 yards. Name a category when it comes to receiving. He leads the league in that for running backs, and he's in the top 10 probably for everybody, whether it's running backs or wide receivers. He's high up there. Targets, target rate, air yard share, even because he's going down the field in those slot routes. Everything's good for him. I think he's going to continue to be heavily involved in that with all of the problems that they have at receiver. So we got to look again at CMC. And there's a couple other things you can consider here for SF receivers, right? Because we don't know about Pearsall. We don't know about Jennings. In fact, we don't even know about whatever the hell Jordan Watkins at this point is also questionable. And he's up enough now on their depth chart that we need to consider him. If he plays, he probably will get used a good amount. But the 2 guys that I like here for receiving for the Niners, if we do see Pearsall and Jennings out, definitely like Tongas, the tight end, and Demarcus Robinson, who's back from that suspension. Played last week, didn't have quite as many snaps, but if we don't have one of Pearsall or Jennings, you got to like Demarcus Robinson to kind of come back from that last surge. I think the last one was on the Rams when we were like, wow, this dude's actually pretty good. Then he comes in, he got the suspension for the first 3 games. Now he's back. That said, regardless, I think Tongas is going to be a good look for about 3 for 30 in that range. The key here is Brock Purdy uses his tight ends more than does Mac Jones. So if Mac Jones is starting, Tongas not quite as good of a play. If we get the note that Brock Purdy is going to start in this one, then I'm going to be looking to Tongas projections because he's going to fill in nicely for George Kittle. And Brock Purdy, we know, wants to target that position. All right, y'all. Like I said, make sure you do check out landyourbets.com. Got plenty of great stuff on there for you, including those projections that have definitely helped me surge in the first 4 weeks during the NFL season. Looking to keep it going with you. So best of luck on Thursday night. Till I see y'all next. Happy betting.